Well, this is it, you guys. Guys and gals. Uh, we're on week 5, and this is the final. This is the end of a very intense cram course, right? And this week, I um, I try to make the last final week actually a little bit more relaxed in terms of work when I can. But in courses where I'm literally supposed to put an entire semester into a month's worth of work, it makes it impossible for me to have any space at all. But I want to ask you all to, when you look at this kind of last hard push to finish off, I promise you that the information that you're going to get in this final week is so crucial to understanding the world we live in right now on many levels. And so I'm kind of pleading with you actually on almost a spiritual level to really pay attention to some of the videos that I have posted, and from the lectures to the documentaries. Because it'll help you really conceptualize much more about how we have the world that we have now. I mean, what are some of the events that has led up to these things? And I'm talking mainly about the War on Terror and the Cold War combined together. If you don't get this completely out of all of my lectures and my documentary clips that I have, I want to just let you know this. My belief is, through my studies, that political Islam in the forms that lead to radical positions in which that we would rightfully call terrorism is the Frankenstein's monster of the Cold War. That during the Cold War, there was an obsession with pushing back Soviet interests. And I'll leave it up to you to decide, if that was wise. I mean, it was a coherent strategy in the sense that, for the United States policymakers and other Western policymakers, if you've decided that the Soviet Union is the main enemy that you're trying to fight, not just against, but through influence. And keep in mind, I hope you follow this in the documentary, that the nuclear threats, it was a mutually assured destruction. We couldn't ever fight, nor can we. Please remember, nuclear powers, if you go to war with each other, you destroy each other. You can't do it. Don't ever encourage that. We don't go to war with Russia. They don't go to war with us. Okay? So it's proxy wars. And the weaker nations get caught in between. And they fund one side and we fund another side, and then they butcher each other. And then our policymakers hope that the side that wins, that supports our interests, is the one that survives and remains in power. And that doesn't necessarily mean democracy or human rights. It just means interest, as in not our enemies' interests. Okay? And if you look in the entire Islamic world, many political movements were popular that were not religiously based. Nationalism, nationalist socialism, very popular was Nasser's Arab socialism and Arab nationalism, pan-Arabism, as he called it. And keep in mind that the Ba'ath Party that Saddam Hussein followed, and that is still in power in Syria, was started by an Arab Christian from Syria named Michel Aflaq. So see, religion wasn't the main driving force. And then communism was also popular in parts of the many parts of the Islamic world, which would shock you, right? Communism at its core is atheistic, and cultures that we think of as being so religious actually were gravitating towards that. Why? What was going on? There were so many other more complex factors. By the end of the Cold War, the all of those secular nationalist, other kind of political groups were crushed for the most part, or now discredited. And so there is a power gap, and there is an ideological kind of lackluster. And what has remained in that is Islamic political groups that are funded often by our strongest allies, from Democrats and Republicans alike, Saudi Arabia. They use their oil money to promote their version of Islam, and that has also changed a lot of things. This is talked about in a lot of my, you'll see this, but I want you to just kind of reflect upon that. And I'll leave it at that, and you can decide to draw your own conclusions about what you want to make of all of that, okay? And also, I just want to say that looking at the Cold War, as I grew up in, that video I have from Berlin, where it shows what life was like in East Germany, I just want to remind you that communism had different effects on different parts of the world. And you can't totally judge it perfectly. In other words, in Cambodia, when Pol Pot came to power, the Khmer Rouge was communist, and it was It was like ISIS. It's exactly like ISIS, and it was brutal, and almost nobody had any good stories to tell. The story of East Germany is more complex, and some people actually miss communism there, which surprises a lot of people. And the experience that I've met with people in the Ukraine has almost always been negative about communism, while people from Moscow that grew up there, I've read, and met people who had enjoyed their lives there. So it's just keep that in mind, okay? And from there, I want to talk about grades. First of all, I want to say that I've been so happy with the quality of your guys' work. You guys are showing me that you're learning. I'm so sad to have to leave you, as you're just really getting into doing this and getting the flow. But in any case, I want to say I don't usually put zeros into the grades because I want to give you a chance to turn in late work. I don't say that outwardly in the beginning because I don't want you guys to all turn in late work, but I do let you turn in late work. But your grade is not accurately reflected in your Blackboard if you have missing assignments and I didn't put a 0. It's lower than what it looks if I haven't put the 0 in. Did you all follow that? So turn in late work, or you need to call me and ask what your grade really looks like, and I'll put in the zeros for you. Just keep that in mind. If you have any questions about the finals or anything here, let me know. I'm as busy as ever. Tuesday I'll be off. It's more easy to get a hold of me. Keep in mind that the finals due your two papers are due Saturday, not Sunday. That's what's different this week. Okay, so pay attention to that. And the last thing I'm going to say is in regards to what's going on with Black Lives Matter, police, and all the stuff that I'm seeing. And I'm going to keep it brief. Obviously, it's depressing and it's terrible. And I watch on Facebook, half of my friends have deleted each other, and half of you have deleted half your friends. Americans are just, we're not seeing eye to eye on this. This is tearing our nation apart. And I think it's largely due to the fact that we don't really get each other's perspective. If you grew up in a police household, if your father or you're married to a police officer, or you have one experience and an understanding of things. If you are a minority here, in particular a Black American, you may have a different experience with police or other matters in the society than a white person, and that would make sense, right? I'm a history professor, right? Racism isn't like it's a part of this history. I was born in 1973. Segregation was still existing in 68, just a few years before I was born. And even though that was forced to end through massive state intervention, culturally, it's still there. And it became considered politically incorrect to be a racist, but it doesn't mean that people didn't think it in their hearts. And so now there's this question, you know, well, can blacks be racist? Everybody can be racist. I'm not saying that. Um, I'm just simply saying this. Let's listen to each other. We don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like to be a woman, right? Um, and a woman doesn't know what it's like to be a man. And I'm never going to know what it's like to be a woman, but I can listen to what women have to say. I can talk to them, and I can try to like understand what's different. Why am I allowed to walk at night and feel safer than my lady friends? I went to have a movie with a lady friend last night. She says, I'm going to text you to let you know that I'm getting home safe. Well, I didn't feel that need for myself. Why? Because women have a different experience in this world than men. Violence happening to them is more likely by men than we're going to have by women, for sure. And even though men can be violent to us, it still is going to be less of a threat to us. I'm not worried about getting raped when I walk home. Does it happen? I'm sure that there's some weird story somewhere, right? And so here's my whole point. We all, due to our own backgrounds economically, everything, it's different. My ex-wife, my daughter's mom, is black and Filipino, and it gave me an opportunity to see and look at things in a different light. And I've had very good experiences with police officers, and I've had bad experiences, and the bad experiences stick out, but they're not my main experience. If those were my only experience, then I might have only negative views. If I had only good experiences, I may never understand anybody who has bad experience, right? And this is why our actions matter, because what we do as citizens and in positions of authority affects the impressions people have, and our society and how we act with each other is affected. Okay, so when someone is a teacher, a police officer, a politician, when they're doing good things, they're doing great things for society. When they violate that trust and when they abuse that position, they not only hurt their own victims, but they undermine their entire professions. And that's why those of us within our own professions have to stand out against those and speak out against those who do things in our name and in our profession that are corrupt or abusive or bad. And simultaneously, we as individuals, we have a part in things as well. Violence happens to each other. When I was younger, I grew up in mainly white neighborhoods, and I got beat up mainly by white guys, gangs, all the time. It happened to me a lot. I got beat up a lot, and it was white on white crime against me. And I didn't enjoy things, but it didn't leave. The thing about that is, my experience left an impression on me, but it didn't create any racial tension because it was, just white brothers beating up a white brother. And what happens if it was just another minority beating me up? Would that have changed my perspective? But the actions would have been the same. But it would change my perspective of reality. So I don't know. I'm kind of babbling now. I hope that what you're seeing is this. Some of you out here may be totally feeling me. I may have lost a little bit of you. Just know this. All of you as my students that have came on this journey with me, some of you coming from backgrounds of law enforcement, some of being people of color, some both. I love and respect all of you. I hope the best for all of you and your families to have very happy and secure lives. You've come to school to better your life and to be a better person and to enrich yourselves. And that is what I hope that we can all have the opportunity to do. We have a lot of problems in this country right now. And, how are they going to get fixed? Well, you can start with yourself. And right now, that's what you're doing. So educate yourself and act upon that. And be brave, because it's easy to just give in to emotions sometimes. Anyways, that's all I have to say. we'll be in touch. Good luck with the rest of this week, okay?